Ireland was the first European country to accept the potato as a serious food crop, but before they had the potato, they relied on other things to make up their diet. The Irish diet consisted of cereal and milk-based products with pig meat whenever they could manage it. Little is really known about how the potato got to Ireland, but they did in fact come from South America, and it is believed that they may have been brought by either Drake, Raleigh, or Southwell. The potato reached Ireland by the 16th century, so any of these men could have been responsible for the commodity. In 1993, Burke popularized the four phases of acceptance of the potato into the Irish diet. From 1590 through 1675, the potato was a supplemental food and a standby against famine. From 1675 through 1750, it became more valuable in the winter, especially for the poorer classes. From 1750 through 1810, the poor classes became extremely reliant on the potato all year round. Finally, from 1810 through 1845, there was mounting distress among the populace as localized famines and potato failures became a commonplace.
By 1750, the potato had become acclimated to the Irish climate and eventually spread, becoming the main food for farm laborers. The population in the early 1800s had reached over 8 million, and many of the farmers and farm laborers depended on the potato to feed their growing families. By the 1830s, 30% to 35% of Irish people depended upon the potato as their main food source, and by the 1840s, almost half the population became entirely dependent. Due to the ease of growing and caring for the crop and the high yields, infant mortality rate reduced and early marriage was encouraged. Even the poorest farmers could depend on a good yield of the crop, without much investment or hard labor. It was noted in the parish of Glynn in County Antrim in the 1830s that the poor no longer eat meat or corn. Their meager diet is the Irish potato supplemented by salted herrings in winter and cabbage in summer. This eventually became a problem because the tenant farmers and laborers developed an exclusive dependence on the potato, and therefore now lacked the dietary choice that had existed for centuries earlier. The potato's success helped to create the conditions which made a large proportion of the Irish society so vulnerable in the event of an unforeseen natural disaster.
The summer of 1845 brought on the worst famine seen yet. A few days after being dug from the ground, the potato turned into slimy, decaying, blackish masses of rottenness. The fungus that started to take over the potato crops had traveled from Mexico to Ireland and caused a massive fever that soon spread throughout the countryside of Ireland. The epidemic was so bad that the people had no time for proper burial. They instead piled them into holes a few inches below the soil. Children looked as though they were skeletons, their features sharpened with hunger and their limbs wasted. Over the course of 10 years, over 750,000 Irish died, and another 2 million left their homeland for Great Britain, Canada, and the United States, reducing the population by a quarter. The Irish potato famine was not a natural disaster, it was a product of social causes. Under British rule, Irish Catholics were prohibited from entering into professions or even purchasing the land. They instead had to rent land from British Protestant landowners. Since the Irish peasants could grow triple the amount of potatoes as grain on the same plot of land, their diet consisted of the majority of the crop. A single acre of potatoes could support a family for a year, so about half of Ireland's population depended on it. The British lacked any type of relief effort, which caused deep, lasting feelings of bitterness and distrust towards the British. Many Irish were convinced that the famine was direct outgrowth of British colonial policies. The potato was both a gift and a curse for the Irish, but despite the rocky past that the Irish have with it, it still remains a staple in the Irish diet.